Lovely, thank you. I'm going to share a little slide pack, but like I said, I'd rather keep this less boring for you and um, ask away any questions. But I want to give you a general kind of overview of what the EAP is, how it can be used by you, it can be used by managers. It's a really good service. It's a free service that is included. So it's great that you have access to some mental health support that otherwise you'd be having to call the NHS and potentially waiting 12 to 18 months just for a conversation with someone. So this really is a way for you to get sort of in the moment support, or if needed, some structured counselling following that initial chat with a counsellor. So who are CareFirst? You might be asking. CareFirst are Aviva's partner. CareFirst are actually owned by the Priory Group, so they have a really they have credentials in the mental health space. And what the main sort of parts of the service are is that they have a in the moment support phone line, which that can be used 24/7, 365 days a year by anybody employed by this company. You can speak to them about literally anything as well. So there's nothing sort of out of bounds. They can help you with literally anything. They kind of have the counselling line which you can call up to help you with any kind of things you're going through at that point. Stress, anxiety, anything like that. And then you also have the information services line as well. So that's like a separate line that if you had a question around, like a border dispute, or who has to pay for the new fence, they are there to give you factual information around your rights and things like that. So the kind of the way it works with the service, if you were on a particular day feeling, really anxious, stressed out, and you really wanted to talk to somebody that's outside your family network, you can call the AP line, and what they will do is when you speak to them initially, about 95% of all calls will be answered on the first attempt if you call them, which is a fantastic stat to have, and that's very much. I think it. There's not really many other services that offer that. CareFirst, they don't have a triage line, so you might have spoke to an EAP line before, where you might have been called up and you spoke to somebody who's kind of like an office support person who's not a trained counsellor. You will straight away speak to what we call a BACP registered counsellor. So that's like the gold standard in the counselling world. So you're straight in to talking to somebody on your first call. And then what they're going to do, they're just going to be talking to you generally, just have a conversation. What is kind of causing you issues, things that you're concerned about, like what you've been through, lots of different questions, so they can ascertain from that whether they feel that you might benefit from additional support. So what would they do after that call if they felt that you would benefit from that additional support? They would ask you to have another call with them where you would go through what we call a HADS assessment. The HADS assessment is something that is completed by the NHS as well. So it's a well-known assessment that is done. And then if after that HADS assessment, the counsellor feels that you would benefit from structured counselling, they would then invite you to go on that journey with them. The type of A lot of questions I get are like, what type of counselling is it? Is it on a chaise lounge, like laying there for hours on end? It's not that type of counselling. So just to set your expectations, that the maximum amount of sessions you can have is 8 sessions. The reason for that is because they do a type of counselling called short-term focus counselling. So it's looking at a particular before your first session, you will have a particular aim, a target, and the target is that by the end of those 8 sessions, you would have you feel empowered and more comfortable to deal with whatever mental health illness that you had or condition that you were going through at the time, rather than the long-term counselling, which could be over months, even years sometimes, where there's a lot to unpack there, and it's going to take a lot more sessions to get you to a point where you feel more comfortable. But there's lots of studies around sort of short-term versus long-term, and the kind of the benefits of both. So what that does mean, however, again, to try and set expectations, if you did have maybe a long-term, long-standing mental health condition, if you did call the line, they are there. They will support you 24/7, like I said, you can call them, it's unlimited. So you can call up, hang up, call up, hang up, you keep doing that, and they will always be there to support you. However, if you went through the HADS assessment that I mentioned a minute ago, and they deemed that potentially you would need longer term counselling or a different type of counselling to what they offer, they would not take you on that initial eight session journey, but they are there to support. So they wouldn't just sort of say, no, we're not going to give you any counselling. They would be there to say, right, I think this is the best route for you to go. Usually it will be directing you back to your GP. Sometimes it might be speaking to charities or other organisations who will be better suited to take you on a journey where you are going to get the best outcome for yourself. So it's all with you in mind. It's not them trying to be mean and not give you support. It is always with you in mind. And the worst thing is if you took somebody on a counselling journey and by the end of those sessions, they were no better, then it's a lot for somebody to go through to even start that journey. So they don't like to take people on that if they don't feel they can help them. I mentioned about, so I'm just going to flick through this because there's a lot of stuff in here and some of it's not really relevant. I mentioned about how there's different services involved. There's the information service where you can call up about legal disputes. There's also a management service. So those of you that are on the call today, there's help for you there as well. So it might not be that you necessarily need support from a mental health point of view. However, you might have somebody that's in your team that is going through something that you've never encountered before, they've never encountered before. So there's a management service that is part of the EAP where you can call up the line and they can help you through whatever you might be going through. Something I didn't mention at the start of the call. Everything that I'm talking about is fully confidential. So if you call the line, there is no link back from CareFirst to Aviva back to your employer. It's completely confidential. And actually, when you call up, they will only ask you one piece of information, and that will be what company do you work for. And that's just to ascertain that you are a policy that is on risk with Aviva. They won't ask you for your name or anything like that. So just be sure that, or you don't have to be worried that we're reporting back to your employer if you're going through anything. It's completely confidential. However, as per the slide I've showed you there will be some circumstances, exceptional circumstances, where the counsellor may have to reach out to 999 or child protection, and that's only in these exceptional circumstances that are highlighted on the screen there. I mentioned about the credentials of CareFirst and also the counsellors. It's really important to highlight that because I'm not aware of all the EAP services, but I don't think all of them will have the level, the standard that CareFirst have. So in yourself, you know that you are getting the best possible care and service that is available out there. I wanted to show you. They have a sort of like a self-help website as well. And what that does is you can go, anyone can go on there. There's login information which I can share after the call, where if you ever needed support with a certain topic, there's lots of self-help stuff on here, lots of articles on here. The biggest one at the minute is around home finances following Christmas and people stressed out over Christmas buying presents and especially with the cost of living crisis at the minute. So just to sort of make you aware, there is a lot of other articles and help which is available, which some people rather go through online versus speaking to someone, because taking that first step can be difficult. And maybe once you've looked at a few articles or understood what you're going through a little bit more, you then feel more comfortable calling somebody up and having that conversation. There is also a online functionality on here as well. So again, if you don't feel comfortable picking up the phone, there's that other avenue that you can take to get that support that you might need. And that's really, to be honest, the EAP in a nutshell. It's just kind of takeaway points for you are, it's 24/7, 365. There's one number to call. It's very confidential, except for in those exceptional circumstances, and it's an unlimited service really that you can use whenever you need. And it's just good to know that you've got that there. Your employer's got that in place for you, so you have that support outside your normal sort of family and friend network. That was it. I'm sorry I rambled there a bit, but kind of, was there anything that anybody wanted to kind of put in the chat, or kind of shout out if you feel comfortable doing that? And any question?
Just while you guys are thinking about questions, just so you're aware, the information about the EAP service is all on Bob. So it's in the company documents or public documents. I'm actually not sure what it's called. There is a kind of guide to the EAP, and then there's also a little bit of information in the benefits page as well. No, I've got any questions or anything?
Yeah.
Sorry. There was a question. I'll cover off the question in the chat. So, is there a login details? Yes, there is. Those login details I can share after the call. There's a flyer that can be uploaded to the portal that Chloe's talking about. I don't know if that's on there already, but I'll share it afterwards. It's the same login for everyone, as to keep that confidentiality. So all our clients have the same login. It's not like one for ground control. It's just the same one for everyone. So I can share that after the call today. And sorry, there's a question on the line.
Yes, hi Matthew. Just for some clarity, obviously, with regards to anyone phoning in at 24/7, is there the ability to have video sessions with during the short-term process, if there is a short-term process?
Yeah. So there's actually face-to-face counselling as well on offer, and video as well. They tend to usually go for video, to be honest with you. But if you felt that you would have a better outcome if you had a face-to-face conversation with somebody, you can definitely have that. They tend to look at where you are in the country, and they will look for a counsellor in a, I can't remember what the mile radius is, but it's not sort of 50 to 100 miles. It's definitely within a distance which is attainable, and not sort of you travelling up and down the country to get support.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Tracy's got a hand up. Tracy?
Oh yeah, sorry, I can't seem to type in the chat. I just wanted to ask, if it's a family member, how, if they call up and they say, what company do you work for? Obviously they don't work for ground control. How does that work?
Yeah, so this is just an employee line, I'm afraid. So
okay,
this is not a dependence line. There is there's a recent ruling that came out in March of 2023 that actually the reason why there isn't a dependence line on here, because of the taxation around EAPs, and if you were to have a dependence line within that, and in what we call an embedded EAP, there would be a tax liability there. So CareFirst have never had a dependence line as part of their embedded EAP. So unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to get a family member to be able to call that line. So yeah, that is just for employees only.
okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Any other questions before we finish off?
Nothing else in the chat, was there?
Okay, I will make sure that I post the login details and the flyer that Matt mentioned onto Bob, so keep an eye out for it there. If you think of anything else, give me a shout. If I can't answer it, I can pass it on through. And thank you very much, Matthew. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Have a good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you for joining. Thank you very much.